this meeting and to it being recorded. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Chairman and Vice Chairman of the Council.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all. I'd like to hand over to my vicar. Thank you, Marg. Prayers.
So let's just bow our heads, shall we? God of justice and mercy, thank you for your gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our district. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders your people need. Help us to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us, and to treat all people, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence your creation deserves. And finally, Father, renew us with your strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy for all people. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
Would like to sit, please. Item 1. Do we have any priority business, Mr. Hayward?
Madam Chairman, I can confirm there's no priority business this evening.
Thank you. Items 2 and 3, the minutes. Minutes of the meetings that were held here at the Council on the 5th of September 2023, and those of the Special Council held on the same date as before you tonight, of page 1 of your pack. Is it your wish that I confirm and sign the minutes of the 5th of September meeting? Item 4. Are there any apologies, Mr. Hayward?
Yes, Madam Chairman, we have apologies from councillors Barry Bond, Bernard Williams, Mrs Penny Allen, Mrs Helen Adams and Mrs Kath Williams.
Thank you. Item 5, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest this evening? No. See anyone? No. Thank you. Item 6, questions under Procedures Rule 11.4. Can I pass to Mr. Hayward?
There are none, Madam Chairman.
Item 7. We now have the report of the Leader of the Council, which can be seen from page 7 onwards in your agenda pack. Can I call upon Councillor Lees to present his report, please?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good evening, Aldermen, members and guests. It's nice to see so many of you here. I hope those of you who have had the meal earlier enjoyed the renewed occasion. Excuse me. With Christmas being only a couple of weeks away now, I think we're all looking forward to the Christmas break. The last 3 months have been very busy for us all, so it'll be nice to take some time off to enjoy the festivities and relax, ready for what will no doubt be another busy year. You will all have heard of the fire at the Hatherton Hotel in Penkridge on Saturday the 2nd, where around 70 asylum seekers were made homeless. I must praise our officers who immediately sprung into action to help until alternative arrangements could be made for them. Our team did a fantastic job and showed how efficiently a good and effective council reacts to an emergency situation. However, this highlighted the serious risk that this council could have when the hotels are cleared of asylum seekers in February, in finding accommodations for those clearing themselves redundant homeless. We now await the government's financial settlement, which is anticipated on or before the 19th of December, and the revised NPPF, so that we can move forward successfully into the next year. Thank you. Now we have the reports which you have in front of you. So I will now take questions on my portfolio, which is corporate, following which I will call the rest of the Cabinet members who will then take questions on their portfolios. So first of all, is there any questions on the corporate portfolio that you've got in your pack? I can't see any hands up for any questions. So can we move to Victoria Wilson on business enterprise and community infrastructure? Are there any questions? No questions? Then we'll move to Rita Heseltine on regulatory services. No questions? Then we'll move on to Robert Reid, welfare services. No questions? David Williams, digital technology and estate management. No questions? And finally, Kath Perry, community services and climate change. No questions? Thank you. That is the end of my report, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. Item 8. We now turn to page 17. We have the report from the chairman of the committees giving a brief update to council on what has taken place in their committee since the last council meeting. If any chairman wishes to speak, please indicate now. Anyone want to? No one wants to speak to us this evening. Are there any questions anyone would like to ask? No? That's good. Right. Agenda item 9. We now have a motion that is being proposed by Councillor Harper Wallace. Can I call upon Councillor Harper Wallace to propose his motion, please?
Thank you, Chair. Recognising the importance of public engagement and transparency in local government, this motion proposes to introduce a dedicated public questions agenda item within the full council meetings of South Staffordshire District Council.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for this, please?
Hello. Yes, I would like to second, Chairman.
Are there any questions? Councillor Chapman.
I'd like to oppose the motion and put a motion forward.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Please feel free.
Thank you, Chair. So I've just got a few words around this motion. South Staffordshire District Council has always prided itself on listening to and evaluating residents' voices. Our recent District Council's resident survey is a testament to this commitment, providing a platform for our community to express their views, concerns and aspirations. However, when it comes to direct engagement in our council meetings, we find ourselves lagging behind our neighbouring councils. Unlike many of them, we have yet to establish a formal mechanism for public questions in these sessions. This motion aims to bridge that gap. With the introduction of public questions section within our full council agenda, it's not about just fulfilling a procedural need, it's about reaffirming our pledge to open governance. By allowing residents to submit questions in advance and ensuring their voices are heard in our meetings, we foster a deeper sense of trust and collaboration. It's about showing that we're not only willing to listen, but also eager to engage in a meaningful dialogue with those that we serve. In a time where public confidence in institutions is increasingly fragile, it's imperative that we lead by example. We must demonstrate that accountability is not just a buzzword for us, but a principle we actively uphold. This motion is a step towards ensuring that our council's decisions are not made in the presence of our community, but with their informed input. By adopting this motion, we are not only aligning ourselves with best practices in local governance, but also send a clear message. The views of our residents are not just welcome, they are essential to the fabric of our decision-making process. Members should also note that during the creation of this motion, I worked very closely with our monitoring officer to ensure that this motion is both practical and effective. I urge my fellow councillors to support this motion.
Before we go any further, are there any questions by anyone? Anyone would like to speak?
Are we talking about this proposal or the amended proposal that was made over there that wasn't seconded?
At the moment, we have the proposal from Councillor Harper-Wallis, seconded by Councillor Harrison. So that's the proposal in front of you at the moment. If anybody wants to put an amendment motion, now is the point to do that. But we can have debate on the proposal before you.
So can I put my motion forward, or at what point can I do that, please?
You can put a motion. Could I just clarify, is it an amendment to that motion? It's an amendment to the motion before us. Yeah, so if you put your amendment forward and then we can take that forward.
Thanks very much. Okay. So South Staffordshire Council's full council is to clarify meetings which have already happened. Everything has previously gone to full scrutiny prior to full council. Questions should be raised at overview and scrutiny, which all members are aware of, and any residents who have questions should do this through their elected representative.
Could you just clarify what your amendment to the motion is then, Councillor Chapman? Or is your, in effect, you're voting against the motion? Okay, so that's not technically an amendment to the motion, that's just part of the debate. So I think, yeah, we go back to...
That's great. Your guidance is really welcome. Thank you.
So the motion before you is the one read out by Councillor Harper-Wallis, seconded by Councillor Harrison, and we're now on debate of that substantive motion.
Councillor Steele, I believe you want to speak.
Yes, why would anybody not want questions from the residents who actually put us into our position? Anybody?
Are there,
to
sorry,
answer,
are there any other questions at this point in?
Does anybody want to answer my question? All those who are against can give me a good reason, can't they?
Well, we'll go into debate very shortly, Councillor Steele. At the moment, I'm just asking if there are any questions. Okay. There are no other questions at this moment in time. Yeah. Okay. So if there are no further questions, we will go into debate on this motion. Councillor Harper-Wallis, do you wish to speak? Sorry, hang on, you don't? You just said no. Go to debate. Anyone wants to speak now? Right. We're now in debate, so anyone who would like to speak, please put up your hand and begin the debate. Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. It's worth noting that this kind of public questions kind of slot, if you like, in an ordinary meeting is pretty standard practice around the West Midlands. I mean, I've totted up here Stafford Borough Council, City of Wolverhampton Council, Telford and Wrekin Council, Shropshire Council, Walsall Council, Wyre Forest District Council and Bromsgrove District Council, all border South Staffordshire, maybe not Telford and Wrekin. I took a bit of licence with that one. All have that within their meetings, and I think it's just something that should be, you know, just ingrained in there and built into the council meeting. I don't think it's anything that's controversial or going to cause you know, kind of difficulties for officers or members, yes, absolutely, they can come and speak to their fellow councillors. But I think at times, residents just want to, you know, through the right procedures, come to a meeting and put forth their view on something. And if they want to do that, I just think it kind of enriches these meetings and enriches the role of the council. I don't think it's going to cause any risk or damage to reputation or to individual members.
Thank you, councillor. Is there anyone else who would wish to speak? Sorry, councillor Kelly, would you like to speak first and then councillor Harper-Wallis?
Thank you, Chair. Just to reiterate, I'm going to put my other head on here as the SPCA, the Local Government Act of 2011, as well as the Localism Act of, Local Government Act of 1972 and the 2011 Act clearly states members of the public are allowed to attend a meeting, but there doesn't need to be a public participation element. That is what the Act says, and to confer with my colleague over there, I agree that we shouldn't have this.
Councillor Harper-Wallis, you will wind up at the end. You can't ask a question at this moment in time. Councillor Harrison.
Carried away with my enthusiasm, for which I apologise. So thank you. I think Councillor Harper-Wallis has presented us with an opportunity here to demonstrate that South Council is willing to embrace change, show that it's progressive, willing to embrace and encourage public participation in local government. I sincerely believe that that's the case. I would call on members to support this motion. I don't really see a downside to it at all. I don't particularly see it as any kind of political issue either. I think it sends a clear message that we as a corporate body will listen to our electorate at all times, not just around times of elections, etc. And I think, as Councillor Harper-Wallis has already mentioned, there is, well, we live in a time where there is disillusionment with government and politics. And I think that means that being shown to be listening, taking account of the public's opinion at all level and at all opportunities is a very worthwhile thing to do. If you cast your eyes at our motto over there, Honesty nec timide, my Latin isn't as good as it used to be, so I apologise if I have mangled that. I think we should show people it's not just a motto. We are committed to openness. We do not shy away from being questioned. We are honest without being timid. And I therefore think this is a very worthwhile motion. And I put it to you that I would encourage support for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Councillor Michel.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I'm not against openness. I do feel, though, that this is being taken in isolation. I think it's got to be looked at more in everything that the council does, and not just sort of added in ad hoc. A decision like this, and I shall be voting against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Michel. Does anyone else make a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Obviously, it's well documented my views on openness, honesty and transparency in council. It's something that I've championed ever since I was involved in local politics, even at parish council level, where we do have public participation. I'm sure most parish councils in this room have public participation. And personally, I think it's something that should be encouraged. For me, this isn't a party political thing. As an independent, I can just speak on the process. And I heard, obviously, Councillor Harper-Wallis say about it being meaningful. I would probably disagree with that. I think from what I've read, it is quite restrictive. And I'd agree with Councillor Chapman that the most meaningful thing that public can do is speak to the local representatives who they put in this position, who can speak more openly and freely on the opinions they give. But I think when we're being open and we're modernising as a council, as one of the younger members of the council, we now I'm not sure it's live stream, but record meetings and put it out in the public domain. And the public will see this meeting tonight, and I'm sure most of them sitting at home when they watch this, when it's shared online, which I'm sure it will be confused as to what is the issue. You know, and I've heard it mentioned that you don't have to give the people the opportunity to speak, as it's been said. I don't think it's been rushed through ad hoc, as we've seen from the report that the monitoring officer has been through this in quite detail and how it's going to work practicality. So there's lots of detail in there. So for me, it's a tool in the toolbox, as I see it. I would personally prefer the members of public, if they've got issues, to speak with their local representatives who they put in that position. But it's a tool for them to use. And personally, I think people watching at home, sitting at home, won't understand why people have voted against it. The only thing I can see why people would vote against it is that it's become party political, which for me it shouldn't be, and we don't want it to be. And I can say that as an independent. You know, if you're not against people being able to speak, whether you agree with them or not, then I don't see why anyone would be against this motion, to be honest. And that's my view as an independent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fisher. Would anyone else like to speak? Councillor Brindle. Sorry, I have to look at your surnames. I know you all by Christian names, but
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We have open and meetings and people come and ask 1 or 2 questions. And I can't see in the future that you're going to get a mass void of 10, 20 people wanting to void an opinion. You might get maybe 1 or 2. But the question I want to ask is, if it's okay for all those councils that surround us to do it, and Councillor Kelly says we can't do it, then obviously they must be doing something wrong. But I don't know the answer. So are they doing something wrong legally, or are we just not willing to do what they're doing? Thank you, Madam Chairman.
thank you, Councillor. I'll just ask our legal representative, Lorraine, to speak.
Obviously, it would be for each council to take their own advice, but my view is it's not unlawful to allow public questions. It's a choice.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? No more hands? No more hands up? Councillor Harper-Willis, do you wish to sum up?
Yes, please, Chair. Thank you. Just to answer a few of the questions and the comments that were made during the debate. Yes, there's Localism Act, and I think that just prescribes that members of the public can attend meetings. It doesn't, again, as our legal representative has said tonight, it's a choice. There is no legal blocking there. I've worked quite closely with the monitoring officer. I think she's probably sick of our impromptu meetings that we kept having around this motion, but it has gone through significant amends, and that is to make sure that it's practical and is done in the spirit of what's intended, which is openness and transparency. And then to move on to that, this isn't a party political motion. It's about allowing the members of the public to come and ask questions to the council that represents them. There's no politics or gotchas in this. It's just other councils are doing it. It's a procedural thing that I think we should be doing and living by our motto. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand. So I really do hope that councillors can look past that and vote for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Is it your wish that the motion as set out in agenda item 9 is approved? Those in favour, can I have a show of hands, please?
Madam Chairman, can I ask for a recorded vote? A proposed recorded.
So if we want a recorded vote, the majority of members present have to vote in favour of having a recorded vote. So if we could take a vote on by show of hands if a recorded vote is supported. And those against a recorded vote? the motion is defeated, so we won't have a recorded vote. So we go back to the original vote on the motion. So at the moment, we're having votes for the motion as set out on the agenda.
Right, can I have again a show of hands for the motion, please? And those against, please? Are there any abstentions? Anybody want to abstain? Thank you. The motion is defeated. Right. Item 10. We now turn to page 23 and the report of the Chairman of the Audit and Risk Committee regarding the annual audit letter. Can I call on Councillor Michelle to present the report, please?
Well, once again, it gives me great pleasure to be able to present the audit findings and report to you. Once again, the report is void of any criticism. When presenting this report to the Audit Committee, Grant Thornton's audit manager was extremely complimentary about our accounts team, the way that the accounts were prepared and presented. And also added that when they asked for supplementary information, this was provided very quickly, which made their job easy. However, I have to inform you that we're still waiting for the external audit report on the Staffordshire pension scheme. Until we receive this, we can't sign off our accounts. And I would like to take this opportunity to add my thanks to our accounts team, who yet again have done us proud. Any questions? I'd be happy to try and answer them. Thank you.
Are there any questions to put to Councillor Michelle? No. Do we have a seconder for this?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I would like to formally second this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Lees. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Michelle, do you wish to wind up as well?
No, thank you, Madam Chairman.
Is it your wish that the recommendation is carried? Those in favour, can I have a show of hands, please? No one against? Is that unanimous? Yeah. The recommendation is approved. Item 11. We now turn to page 87 and report of performance management. Can I call on the leader, Councillor Lees, to present the report, please?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would like to propose the Integrated Performance Management Report, or IPM as it's known. This report provides an update on the 30th of September 23 for Q2 of the 23-24 performance, finance and risk. This includes results against performance targets set to monitor delivery of the Council Plan 2024, this being the final year of the current plan. There has been a strong performance across the Council in Q2, with 17 of the 21 Council targets being on target, with no measurements receiving a RAG rating of red. I'll now hand over to the Corporate Director and Chief Operating Officer, Mrs. Jackie Smith, to take you through the report.
Thank you, Councillor Lees. Really great pleasure to present the report tonight. Just to remind members, this would normally be reported to the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, but actually we wanted to present it to you before the end of the calendar year, so I've taken the opportunity to present it at Council tonight rather than delay it into the new year for Overview and Scrutiny. But that would be the normal practice. We will bring the end of year through to Overview and Scrutiny. As Councillor Lees has indicated, very strong performance again, and certainly in terms of very pleased to report there are no red indicators. And I think at this stage in the 4th year, actually to have no reds is a really positive position to be in. However, I think it's worth pointing out that we have had variance in performances, and a couple I'd like to highlight particularly in terms of areas of performance, particularly the planning applications. There were no overturned through appeal, and that was against a target of 10%, but in fact we've had 0. And I think, again, another one that members are particularly, it's important to, is 100% of the fly tipping reports have been investigated and agreed actions resolved within two days, which again makes a huge difference to our residents. And of particular note is the leisure centre indicator of maintaining over 85% of income as a percentage of the operating costs. And I'm really pleased to report this is the first time actually in the council plan period that we've achieved 89.64%. We do know that COVID has, through the majority of the council plan, had an impact, and obviously there was the refurbishment as well. But another thing I think members would be not pleased to note is that during the last 12 months, over 2,300 adults and children have been taught to swim in our leisure centres, which again, I think is a real big achievement. Just in terms of the welfare services, the new benefit claims, which we know is important to our residents to turn around as quickly as possible. Our target is 15 days, and in fact, we're achieving 17 at this point in time. But actually, we've done some benchmarking across Staffordshire, and actually the time range for new benefits at the moment is on average 28 to 45 days. So although we're not hitting target quite at the moment, actually in comparison to the other Staffordshire authorities, we are performing, but that doesn't mean we won't be making sure that we are putting the resources in, which again members have supported in the past, the investment, to ensure that we actually hit that target. Council tax collection remains strong, although slightly down below last year by 0.3%. And in the last 6 months, we supported 1,042 households who were struggling to pay their council tax by offering flexible payment plans. Business rates is down by 1.5% compared to last year. That partly is due to the fact that when the calendar month is closed and it's a weekend, it means sometimes the payments roll into the next month. So that's why sometimes in comparison to last year, the figures don't quite tally. However, we do have 2 large businesses on payment plans who are month on month struggling to actually make their payments. Another area is planning enforcement performance, and I don't think any member will not be aware that there have been a number of what we would consider to be both complex and high profile cases that have actually detracted the team from being able to close cases. However, again, in the last 6 months, the team have managed to close 136 cases. Hopefully what members will pick up from tonight's presentation in the pack is the storyboard. We will do that at 1:45 and at the end of the year, which again just gives an indicator of some of the performance across the authority, and the storyboard will be used as well as part of our social media campaign to actually obviously put messages out around the achievements. Against the council plan for prosperous communities, for example, the establishment of the business ambassador groups who are helping to shape and steer the business partnerships and provide peer support to businesses. Again, 127 businesses have received support in the last 6 months, which both helps them to start and grow. Another important area is our health and safety. The food and safety team have undertaken 120 food inspections over the last 6 months and worked with over 20 large-scale events, which has actually enabled over 150,000 people to enjoy safe and successful events in the district during the last 6 months. I'm just now going to hand over to Beck, who will pick up on the financial part of the Integrated Performance Management Report.
Thank you. Members, on page 99 of your reports, you will see the summary position of the projected budget position for the current financial year, and this is as at the end of September. This shows that there's a projected saving against budget of 2.139 million for the current financial year, of which 1.285 million is planned to go back into earmarked reserves, and the remaining 853,000 pounds will go back into the general fund. So an improved position compared to that was the original budget that was set. The main reason for the improved position is due to additional income that the council has received through the business rates retention scheme. Other smaller variances are also outlined in the executive summary on page 100, and the individual service positions are set out on pages 101 to 107. I'll hand back to Councillor Lees to close.
The recommendation is that members note Q2 IPM report.
Right, do we have a seconder for that, please?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd like to second that recommendation.
Are there any questions? Councillor Fisher, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure we have to stand or sit down anymore. People seem doing a mix of both, so Brian have to tell me off if I'm doing it wrong. Then my question is for you, Jackie, around welfare services, on benefit services. So speaking recently to Dave, obviously our Chief Exec, about, I think it's great for local people in Codswell and Bilbrook to be able to walk into the community hub and speak to an officer without having to go online if they're unsure how to use it, etc. And I've been obviously asking for more outreach, etc. And to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised by Dave that he maybe it's my ignorance. I didn't know that you did home visits, or officers will go out to home visits. So my question is really about how is that publicised, or how can we refer people to those home visits? Or more generally, have we got leaflets we can put in local centres outside of Codswell, so in our Eslington Community Centre, for example, where people know that these home visits are possible? And is a limited capacity for officers, I assume, on those home visits?
Thank you, Councillor Fisher. I think it is one of those areas where, like anything, we probably don't publish enough. But equally, whenever customers make contact, if there is any part of that conversation which would result in actually the need for a home visit, that would absolutely be arranged. You're absolutely right. It is a capacity issue, though. If everybody needed a home visit, that would have an impact. But we know that's not the case. So it is always, we will look at where people are vulnerable or that need, and we will do that. I think the other part to it for me is also, though, as well, the team have been very strong and certainly are looking at doing more and more of actually being as part of your events. So we're willing to, sort of come along to where there's the fates or the different activities locally, where actually we can have a stand and actually have those staff who can really help people face to face. So I think it is very much, we do as much of that as possible. Certainly on our website, we do make reference to the services that we offer. But if actually it's not clear enough, that is something that, again, we'll always take feedback and make sure that we pick up on.
Just to come back, obviously really supportive of any stronger visual presence around the wider district. They're massively welcome.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? Are there any other questions? Councillor Lees, do you wish to wind up? Is it your wish that the recommendations are carried? Those in favour, can I have a show of hands, please? I think that's unanimous. Yeah, that's unanimous. The recommendations are approved. We now turn to item 13, which is turned over 2 pages. I'm too eager, I've turned over 2 pages. I'm trying to get you finished early. Item 12, we now turn to page 125 to the report regarding, the report regarding the capital strategy. Can I call on the Director of Finance, Beck Hayer, to present the report, please?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, you wanted to skip this item, didn't you? Can't blame you, really. So this report is it sets out the performance against the council's capital strategy for the financial year 22-23. So the purpose of the capital strategy is that it sets out how the council's capital programme and spend contributes towards the priorities of the council. So in this report, I just wanted to draw your attention to some of the tables which highlight some of the main points that I wanted to get across. Table 2 in the report shows how the capital spend during 22-23 contributed to the council plan priorities. And you can see from this table that all of the spend has contributed to at least one priority. Then on table 3, it shows the income generated by our commercial assets compared to the budget that was originally set. There is a shortfall against this income compared to budget, but that is largely due to the fire that took place at Unit 4E. And lastly, table 4 on page 131 shows an initial condition assessment of our assets and the planned spend on these to ensure that they continue to meet the council's priorities. We are intending that a more detailed piece of work on this will be undertaken in the new year, and that will feed into a refreshed capital strategy that will support the new council plan that comes in from April. That summarises the report, Madam Chairman.
Do we have a proposer?
Yes, Madam Chairman. I would like to propose that members approve the 22-23 annual report performance against the capital strategy as outlined by the Beck Just.
Do we have a seconder?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to second that.
Are there any questions? No. Does anyone else wish to speak? No. Councillor Lees, do you wish to wind up? Is it your wish that the recommendations are carried? Those in favour, can I have a show of hands, please? That's unanimous again. Thank you. The recommendation is approved. Right, I'm on the right page this time. We can now turn to item 13, which is the chairman's announcements. Sorry. Members, you will recall that at the September meeting, the title of Honorary Alderman was conferred on several former councillors. Previously, this honour has been given to former councillors Roy Wright, Don Cartwright and Joan Burton, but at that time a badge of office was not available. It therefore gives me great pleasure to now present Alderman Wright and Burton and Mrs Cartwright on behalf of Alderman Cartwright with their honorary alderman badges. If you'd like to come up to the front, please. That was very pleasurable, very nice to do. Right, I hope all of you who had the meal this evening, hope you all enjoyed it. I think, as I say, I think the empty plates were a good sign that it was very, very nice indeed. As chairman of the council, I cordially invite all members and aldermen to join me in the members' lounge following this meeting to mark the Christmas season. We have a few carols to sing, mince pies and a drink. So I'm sure, and we'll also draw the raffle to see who's won the wonderful prizes. And there's just a few things I'd like to tell you about that I've been doing. We had a stall at the Christmas fair here in Cotsall for my chosen charity, Motor New Road. It was a great success. We raised £245. I'm saying we, it's the royal we, it was Lindsay and her husband really and Charlotte. But it was a great success. Thank you for everyone who gave me bottles. I could have done with 2 stalls really because they were fighting to have the last few tickets and we had to come up with some bottles of water, but I don't think those were very successful. But it was a very good event and the stall was very much enjoyed. Thank you. Saturday evening, I went to the county for the carols. We had a very, very pleasant evening. And again, we were entertained by Kath Perry, which is always very nice. So I have had a practice with the carols. So I can just tell you, she's in good voice. So, you know, we're okay. There's a gentleman in Kinver, a Wally Fowler. He was a cyclist who completed two whatever cyclists do at 89 years of age. I mean, you know, come on here. I want to see you all on bikes for the next meeting after Christmas. We sent our congratulations and a letter was sent on behalf of the council. Also during the week, another little thing here, there was a young lady of 9 years of age, Amelia Smith. She actually won the award for the Young Fundraiser of the Year at New Cross Hospital. She's, as I say, a little girl of 9 who suffers from a severe form of arthritis. So her mobility is very limited and quite often she's in a wheelchair. But she spent a lot of time in hospital. And she always buys presents for the children on the oncology ward over Christmas because she spent Christmas there herself one year. And she raises a fair amount, as I say, she's been doing ever since she's been very small. And this year at the cake stall, she raised over £600. It was £660. And she was so proud of her achievements. And I think it's just nice to know. I said to her, you know, as a volunteer, I can find you lots of things to do. Come along and join us. I know she's a bit young yet, but she's in the waiting, so it's always good to have a volunteer. But just really, I wanted to just tell you there are some young people out there who do lovely voluntary work, and it's always nice to remember them. Thank you all who've contributed with Christmas card money, etc. to my charity. I do appreciate it. I think we hear more and more about motor neurone and just the number of people who do suffer from it. And unfortunately, it's very slow and it takes a lot of time and you know, people don't know too much about the disease at the moment. So the more we can work on this disease and hopefully try and eradicate it in the future, we can only do our best. Thank you all very much for contributing. So I do appreciate it. So please come and join us. The mince pies are very good and the glass is there. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're independent, whether you're conservative, whether you're Joe Bloggs in the street. Come and join us and get the Christmas spirit. Thank you all very much. I now declare the meeting closed.
Members, ladies and gentlemen, please stand whilst the chairman invites